That interface pisses me off to no end. It's like, why would you ship this? Like, it's so hard to find stores, and it doesn't need to be. And there's some really simple UX stuff here that would make this a lot better. And no shade on the team or on Aton or any of those guys, but it would be nice if they would make that simple. Hey everyone, welcome back to another exciting edition of the Liquid Weekly podcast. I'm your host, Carl Meisterheim. With me today is our number one fan. Sorry, can't help it. And also my co-host, Taylor. Taylor, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Carl. How were you sitting on that the whole time when you asked, like, hey, this fan's not going to be too distracting? And then you immediately called it out at the very beginning.
Oh, I can't help it. It's hot. I'm sorry. You have to deal with it. There's no amount of blur that's going to hide that.
It is hot. That's why I am in my nice little split level. My home is in my office is in the lower level, and it is nice and cool down here. So I like it that way.
One of the decisions I regret most in life, I mean, it's a long list, but near the top is when we added on this bedroom to this house 4 years ago. They said, oh, well, your HVAC system is fine. We could just add a mini split to the new room, or we can upgrade the furnace and blah, blah, blah. And I was thinking, well, let's upgrade the furnace because I don't like the idea of two separate systems to maintain plus the appearance of the mini split. Bad idea. It would have been so much nicer to have total climate control of this one room.
Yeah.
Because then I'd be in perfection. But oh well.
That's unfortunate.
No one cares. First world, Carl.
Yeah, first world. Yeah, our friends over in the UK are like, you guys have air conditioning. Just shut it. That's, I couldn't believe until, I don't know. When you're in the US, I feel like other countries are better about just being more aware of other places in the world. And here in the US, it's just kind of we think that this is the standard for living. And when I found out that other countries, AC is not a normal thing, I was like, oh my gosh, are you serious? Whew, I would not do well living in other countries, apparently.
And now you know why I don't travel internationally. It's because
one of the reasons, right?
One of the reasons. Well, it's good to see you today. I know it feels like it's been forever since we talked, but it's only been 2 weeks. But with the holiday and everything, because we're post 4th of July here, heading into .dev here in just another week and a half or so, a little less than that. Just crazy.
Yeah, and things are so busy and the days go by so fast. I don't know, because they go by so fast, it feels like 2 weeks ago feels like 2 months ago at this point. It's just, it feels like the time. My wife said something to me the other day. We were out doing something. And she's like, yeah, we did that 2 days ago or last weekend or something like that. And I was like, that wasn't 3 weeks ago? Are you serious? Oh my gosh, how long is this week? And it's just, time's just moving fast. By the time this episode comes out, it'll be the 23rd of July. July have almost been over. .dev will have been over. And so but it feels like, man, we blinked and July's already, we're recording here on the 10th, is it? So yeah.
Speaking of dates and time, is there anything you wanted to say to me?
No, I've got nothing today.
Nothing related to temporal reality of our universe that triggered your mind. You thought I really ought to say something to Carl next time I see him.
No, that's oh no.
Nothing.
Is it your birthday?
It was my birthday.
Your birthday?
Not today, but it was my birthday. Yesterday.
Oh my gosh, Carl, I'm so sorry. Happy birthday. I swear I put this in the calendar because I feel like we did the same thing last year.
I'm always going to give you a hard time about it.
I can't believe that's well, happy birthday. Did you do anything fun for your birthday?
I worked late into the evening. To your point, it's been super busy with client work. So it's oh my goodness.
And to everybody that's listening to this, I mean, Carl completely ambushed me. We have an outline and everying and did not even put it in the outline. That was his
Of course I'm not going to put it in the outline. I want to see if you're a true friend.
I genuinely feel bad for forgetting I don't know. Do you have to sometimes ask your significant other when your birthday is or how old you are? Because I'm at that point at 37 years old. When someone asks me that, I seriously have to think. I can't recall that very quickly. I just don't think about birthdays like that. So I would say I'll do better next year, Carl, but
I don't expect you to.
It's going in the calendar, so it's going to happen. But so you worked late on client work because things are busy. So I mean, I'm glad to hear things are busy and going well. That's awesome. Is it client work or is it the app? Are you just building more stuff out with the app?
I have all that too, but last night was I got handed a task on Thursday morning and was asked to have it done today, Friday, for a store that wanted to run a sale on Monday. And they had previously used scripts, which are no longer around, and they
Yeah.
didn't realize it. So they're like, "Can you do this real quick?" And so I'm working to do that real quick.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So as far as, we don't obviously have to dig into the nitty-gritty, but like what are we talking about, like functions here? Like for like discounts and stuff? Are you rolling them custom?
So a lot of my stuff, great segue. Are you terrible at birthday remembering, but great at segues, Taylor?
Well, that's both of those things are your job. Yeah, you get them both. I apparently miss both of those. You set that up beautifully. So
Thank you. Yeah, so most of it is related. Most of my work I've had recently is related to scripts going away and people forgetting, which, I don't think they could have done much more to remind folks, but it does happen that you just don't remember you have that script sitting around somewhere.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I typically would hand roll those, but I've been experimenting more with using Claude and Codex to spin them up because I subscribe to 3 AI tools.
What do you subscribe to? Because I think I've lost track of all the AI tools I've subscribed to at this point.
Currently, I have the low tier plans, right? So these are not the $100 a month ones; these are like the $20 a month
Okay.
ones. I have Claude and
Excellent.
OpenAI Codex, and
Sure.
then a Cursor.
Okay. Does same for me. Although I did cancel. I paid for the annual on Cursor, but I've canceled it. I canceled it last year and then used it and found it good for something and then like re-upped it again instead of switching to the monthly like an idiot. And I let it bill again on the annual. And then I was like, I am just using this like a VS Code instance. I am literally using nothing with Cursor at this point.
Yeah.
So you're finding a lot of success there between all those? Not hitting limits?
Yeah, well, I keep all 3 around because they're all changing so quickly.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
this way I can use one and not worry about the limits because I'll just switch to the other one because they're pretty interchangeable, right? And when you do hand code, which I still hand code, I do like some of the AI auto-completion features in Cursor. Like it actually is helpful at times. Can get in your way at times too. But anyway, so one of the interesting things I found when I was working on these extensions, and most of these are like discount function extensions, some checkout UI extensions, that kind of stuff, is when I have Claude do it, it's a much different approach than when Codex does it.
Yeah. Mhm.
And so much to the point that like Claude really seems to struggle and like comes up with all kinds of stuff and they're both hooked up to the Shopify MCP. So then I very explicit, like, like look at the source, like don't just make this up. But Claude has this way of like bringing in all kinds of extra stuff and it architects the extensions in a way that is super complicated. Doesn't make
Yeah.
any sense to me. Whereas Codex seems to much more like bare bones, just to get it done, kind of thing. So I have a
Interesting.
lot more to share beyond that. I haven't dug too deep into why yet, but it's interesting to see
Mhm.
how different the tools can be for the same
Yeah,
projects.
well, so that's I would say so I've taken a different approach to how I manage those. So I do pay for the $100 a month, whatever it is, subscription to
Ooh.
Claude, because that's my main driver. I also like I don't I
When you're
have
rolling in
more
it, why
service
not?
work in the sense that I'm only using services and stuff or whatever. I don't have another job
That's
as well. Like,
that's $80
all
you
of
could
my
have
work
spent on
is services.
birthday
So
presents, but it's fine.
that's and so because it is all that, like I said, like Claude is just I don't know if it's what I'm used to at this point. Every time I've tried to use Codex, I've used it for side projects, maybe like different little things or whatever. But I haven't actually done much production. I do occasionally hit limits with Claude, and then I'll start to like look at, hey, like let's keep the ball rolling, get this stuff going, kind of type thing or whatever with Codex or something like that or whatever. But Claude still continues to be my main driver. Honestly, I use probably ChatGPT more than Codex for that. And again, the interfaces for me are just so different. So I don't know how you use it. So I use Claude Code in the terminal when I'm using Claude, and that's the main thing that I use for almost anything. For Codex, like they have like the chat or whatever kind of type thing. They don't really do the command line, or maybe they do. I haven't seen it where it's like the command line like terminal like tool situation.
Oh, really? That's all I use.
Really? Okay. So I've only seen it where if I spin up Codex, like it's just like the agent chat back and forth.
Oh, there's an app and I wasn't there. Gosh, I'm so out of touch. It's not our fault either, Taylor. These things, like every week I get like 5 emails from each of these companies
Yeah.
about something new. It's like, whatever.
Well,
I'll get
that's part of my thing is I just haven't taken the time to like work on it all. And now every time I open Cursor, it wants to open the agent first instead of like
yeah, that's annoying.
just the editor. And I'm like, stop it. Like, this is what your job is, man, here. Like know your lane kind of type thing. So I do, if I am building something bigger, I do really like to have the different models all take a look. So I'll spin up like a spec with one and I'll keep passing it back and forth. And Codex has done a really good job nitpicking stuff that Claude, I'm sorry, like didn't really see. Or it does point out some stuff like, this is needless complexity. Like, why would you do this? And I was like, that's a great question. Let me go ask my buddy Claude why he added that in there, because I don't know either. So yeah, that's interesting. So for me, yeah, Claude's been my main driver. I pay for Cursor, but I won't like re-up it for this annual because I'm just using it like a VS Code instance at this point, and I use Codex really sparingly. Like Claude's just like, it has all my things. It's just, I'm in it. So
For more important code bases, not that extensions aren't important, but they're usually 50 to 100 lines of actual like logic. So I don't worry about this too much. But I like to pit them against each other. So if I drive one of them, then I'll have the other model review it and just kind of see.
Yeah, I like to do that. Have it kick out just like a markdown doc, and then have the other one read it, be like, hey, this is our plan. What do you think? And then let it just tear it to shreds, and then just keep bouncing it back and forth until we have something really solid. And that like tends to work pretty well. So
the one thing that I've been noticing all right, does this save me time? Yes, I think so. However, I also notice it's like we're back to the age of compiling almost. And you probably don't remember those dark days, never having worked with a compiled language, I would assume, given your youth. But there'd be this like, I'm writing something cool, and then I'm waiting for it to compile before I can like verify or do anything, and it interrupts your flow, and I get antsy. We all have like attention deficit now because of all the media, right? So I've noticed I really get frustrated when I'm using AI and like I needed to do a step and it's a pretty simple step. I'm sure I could do this, but I just don't want to think about it. So just do it. But it takes like a minute or two for whatever reason. I find that really aggravating to the point where I think I'd almost just rather do it myself.
Yeah. I've found myself in some instances of relying on it so much. It's weird. I'll actually debug something in the browser, like a CSS or JavaScript issue kind of type thing. Because it'll be like, hey, this is fixed. I'm like, no, it's not fixed. It's still broken, like visually. And then I'll like play around with it in the browser a little bit. And I'll be like, hey, this is what it is. Fix this class. And then the reason that you can't do this is because like, we refresh the page here and like you have to reattach. And so, but it's like, I tell it to do that. I don't go in and fix the code. Like I'm at the point now, which is funny. Like they talked about that a long time ago. Like AI is going to be writing like 90% of your code. And I'm at the point it is like, it writes 90% of my code. Even if I'm telling it what to do, it writes it. Even if I know like something simple of like, hey, this is it, something as simple as like use grid here instead of flexbox because I don't want it to like, take up the space this way or whatever. And I don't go in and change it. Like I just have it do it, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm kind of back and forth now on that because like you said, sometimes it takes longer. I'll say, fix this thing. And I'll sit there. I won't wait. I think that's part of it and why we're all so much more busy. Like I don't wait for it to be done talking or doing whatever it's doing. Like I'll go work on something else, like while it's in this other screen over here. And then once it says, boop, I'm done. And then I'll come back and check it kind of type thing.
So here's something that's been bothering me that I wanted to see what you thought about, because maybe there is a solution out there. And if not, I would like to create a solution. But the other part of the problem is a lot of these extensions, especially discount ones, you're looking for specific permutations, or not permutations, combinations of products, tags, cart totals, things like this, right? That you need to validate. And yes, you can do like tests, but I also love to do it live in an actual dev store to make sure that it's functioning as I would expect it to. That's a lot of work to like get a dev store, set up products, set up tags, because in my case, for the most part, a lot of these clients are very specific in terms of the tag names or collection names, right? So you really want to make sure that you're dialed in before you ship this off. So I've been trying to have the AI agent do that. Like, oh, can you take my dev store and set this stuff up? And it's been a little hit or miss. It kind of can. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it tries to do it through the browser. Then it tries to do it through the API. Then it gets confused. Doesn't have the scopes. And then it says, why don't you just do it? And I'm like, because I'm paying to have you do it.
I don't want to click the buttons.
That's right. To me, what I would love is a tool that can just spin up an ephemeral dev store with the specific constraints that I want just for that moment, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Or a tool that would allow me to quickly provision or deprovision them. Because then you end up with, you have a dev store that has like 20 layers of different app extension things you've been working with, and all that stuff just kind of still sitting around in there. Is that a problem you deal with too? Or is it just me?
Yeah, it is. So it's definitely a problem because it's the same. So for a while, I used to do that where I would spin up a new dev store for every little thing that I had to do for like that kind of a testing situation. But then you work with enough clients where it's just like, there's so many of these. And the search is kind of like particular when you're trying to find these shops. And
Yes.
so I've fallen back on, okay, like I've got one dev shop that I'm going to set this up kind of type thing. But then you have that issue of like, oh shoot, like I have to like add and then remove all this stuff, or like now I've got all these meta fields dumped in or meta objects like created that I have to figure out like if this is the one that's actually on this store or not. And so there's probably something that can be said to that of like, good documentation and cleaning that up a little bit better. But like a tool for that definitely would be nice. Something that was just spun up specific to this situation. Cause I had that too, where even for a dev store that I had to create, you know, it did everything great. We went back and forth on like the data model that we wanted to use for the meta objects and the meta fields and how we wanted those connected. But then it was even like, all right, now that we've got this all set up, we've got the theme set up to accept these, but like you have to go in and actually do this because like it's just going to be faster if you create these meta objects. And so the manual configuration of going in and like, okay, I'm going to create this meta object and then, and I think it can probably I think the big piece of that usually is like creating, right? Like once you have the definition there, I think it can actually do a pretty decent job of like creating entries for you when it needs to. But yeah, a lot of that stuff is still very painful.
Okay. So it's not just me. And I wasn't
No,
sure, like
not
maybe
just
there's
you.
a better way people are doing this and I just am ignorant.
So yeah, 100%. There might be a better way. I'm sure somebody has a tool for this. We need to ask some people. So if you're listening to this and you have a tool for this, please ping us and we will talk about your tool and how wonderful and lovely it is. Uh, because yeah, that would save so much time, because you obviously want to QA things well. So even in most instances, if I'm working with somebody, I have just a dev shop that I say is like this client's dev shop. I'm at that point too. Again, like we just have to kind of deal with it. And then I have notes just like in the main like repo for them of like, this is the dev store. So that way you know how to get back to it instead of trying to search through dev dashboard or whatever it is. So I think they're making some improvements there though. I think one of the things that gets me caught up sometimes is like when you're searching for a dev store and like the wrong filters on. So like the store just doesn't surface at all because especially if you're working with multiple clients and different things like this, like you've got collab access and then you've got your dev shops and then, like all the inactives, there's a third one too, or whatever I think it is. I can't remember what it's called.
Collaborator.
Yeah, the
Or,
collab ones. What's the last one?
yeah, that
Say dev collab. All. Maybe just all.
that interface pisses me off to no end. It's like, why would you ship this? Like, it's so hard to find stores, and it doesn't need to be. And there's some really simple UX stuff here that would make this a lot better. And no shade on the team or on Aton or any of those guys, but it would be nice if they would make that.
Yeah, it's a hard problem, right? So it's dev stores, client transfer stores, and then collab. So, but when you search, it only searches in the tab that you're in. And if you forget which tab that you're in while you're clicking around into it, like you forget, like,
Right.
oh, are these the collab stores or are these the dev stores? And then when it shows up no results, I'm like, well, shoot, what? I know I have access to this,
And then there's no
So
UX control like to switch back and forth once you start getting into the search. Like you have to go all the way back up and yeah.
yeah, I would like some kind of a hint maybe in search or that highlights like it should not like go away. It does say search collaboration stores. So it does say that. It should help to some degree, but I should be able to also like more easily switch like
I'm sure it's coming.
or just let me search all of them. Let me search all of them. Why not? It's probably just because how expensive that query is, right?
Yeah, I'm sure there's a legitimate reason.
Or how intensive that'll probably be. Like clients or people that have like 8 billion dev stores or big agencies that have access to like 400 plus, client stores or whatever it is.
Who knows? Anyway,
We digress, don't we?
we should rename our podcast The Digression.
The digression. No, we have to keep it liquid weekly. Maybe we'll be able to get Toby back on again in the future, if we talk enough
Yeah.
about
I don't
about
know.
AI stuff now here. Like that's maybe liquid weekly AI, We've got to throw the AI. Everybody's throwing AI in all the things, so
As busy as he is, I highly doubt he's had time to watch Real Genius yet. And if he doesn't do that first, there's nothing to talk to him about. So
that's that's Toby's homework. If he wants to come back on the podcast, he has to watch Real Genius.
it's a moral
That's
imperative, Taylor. If you're listening to this show, you already know the build. shipping themes, debugging functions at midnight, juggling client projects, all while keeping your apps thriving. But what doesn't get said enough? The commerce internet that millions of entrepreneurs run their businesses on exists because developers like you built it. Now everyone wants to talk about what AI does next. The Shopify Partner Program, trusted by over 100,000 partners, is built for the developers still writing the story. Apps, themes, custom builds, referrals, you choose how they grow. And now Shopify Supply's new Dev Mode collection is built for the space where that work actually happens. Desk gear, apparel, everyday essentials built for the developers defining the next decade of commerce, because the people who live in the Shopify CLI deserve a setup that matches their craft. The most important app hasn't been coded yet. The Shopify Partner Program and Supply's Dev Mode collection are built for whoever codes it, and they're probably listening right now. Check it out at shopify.supply and get 15% off your first order with code LIQUID. That's shopify.supply and 15% off with code LIQUID.
So, I think it'd be interesting to talk a little bit more too about scripts and extensions. You did talk about this. I think we could definitely segue into the other piece there that we were going to talk about, but I think it'd be worth mentioning with some of the stuff that you're doing. How have you found the Shopify MCP? You said you were using that to both hooked up to it or whatever. For me, so far, it's been pretty good. There's still some nuances or whatever where I still will ask people like, hey, for these functions and stuff like that or whatever that deal with this a lot more. But for the most part, I feel like it does a pretty decent job hitting stuff like on the first pass or two.
Yeah, I'm thinking back to like a year ago. I can't remember when the MCP was released. My initial attempts to use AI tools for that sort of thing often fell flat because it would hallucinate the API.
Yep.
And get things wrong, right? And so that was just plain frustrating. With the MCP, I have noticed a marked improvement, I think, in the reliability and accuracy of those to the point now where it's not typically an issue. It's more the other stuff. So.
Yeah, more the other stuff. Yeah, I would definitely agree with that.
Alluding to what I shared at the beginning, I'm still not quite certain why Claude introduced the complexities it introduced compared to Codex when they were both using the MCP. So if I have the time, I should go back and try to better understand what it was thinking, because it was radically different and made no sense.
Well, it's just whatever flavor you're using, right? Or is it like model based? Have you tried some of the other models too instead and seen the same sort of results?
I don't have the time to do that.
I was just curious. Everyone loves Fable. Yeah. So, although it's definitely, more token hungry than the others or whatever, right? So I was just curious if you were finding one a little bit better to work with than the other. So I think whenever we're talking about Codex, like most people are using like 5.5 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
That's supposed to be like the great model of this era or whatever of AI evolution stuff. But I would agree, tools have gotten so much better, and we're all using them every day for everything. And so I think I had something very similar based on a question that somebody asked me this week, where they were kind of like, we're working with this client and they don't really have any design constraints. They just need like a store spun up. They don't really care. And so like, I'm going to build a shop and I pretty much have free reign of how I get to build this. Like, how would you do this now? Because they don't have a huge budget. So I don't want to spend too much time on this or whatever necessarily. And I do want to use AI, right? Because it's going to help me build it quickly. And so they were asking kind of how I was going to go about that. And I thought that was an interesting thought, just because in most instances, I don't know with the people that you're working with, they're usually pretty particular about, this is what we want, this is how we want it. Like, I don't typically run into instances where it's like, build what you want, brother. That doesn't usually happen. So we talked about that. And I don't know if you have thoughts, but my initial thought was kind of similar to how I do a lot of smaller work now. Especially if there's only like a little bit of design direction. I am not a designer. And so I don't pitch myself as one. Like, I'm a developer. Like, usually they have a designer on staff, or they have a design that they send me the Figma or whatever it is, kind of type thing, or a brand guide at least. And, we go off of that. But so in this instance, I was like, okay, I would just spend a bunch of time building out like a really like robust like spec sheet for like the design first. So if you have any information about the brand and all this other stuff or whatever, and then Claude Design. So we've got Claude Code for a while now. Anthropic has built out all these different little, I don't know, what would you call them? They're just like products specific to whatever like niche you want. So they have design, they have work is the other one that's more for like email and scheduling and I don't know, whatever else that they're supposed to be for. And so, but Claude Design's gotten pretty good. And so that's what I use for a lot of these. I use them for a lot of quick client mockups where before I would like hack on stuff in the browser real quick and then just take a screenshot, just edit stuff live of like, okay, like I'm gonna move this here, change this here and whatever. Take a screenshot, send it to them. Well, now I just tell Claude Design to do it. Like I'll give them a screenshot of like the actual page and I'll say, hey, like this is what I want, really describe, pretty detailed, like this is the expected like behavior and stuff like this. And it does a pretty good job. It'll even give you like a couple of versions and stuff. And so if I was building a site from the ground up, that's the same thing that I would do is, build out that design spec sheet really well, pass it off to Claude Design, let it spin up basically a brand guide for you. Once it has that brand guide established, then you just ask it like, okay, great. We're going to do an e-com site now. I need a homepage, collection layout, product page layout, and cart. What does this look like? And it spits it out and it's not bad. So like I said, from there, bring it back to Claude Code, hook it up, and you're ready to rock. So
the design output is just images, or does it actually give you HTML?
It'll give you HTML if you want, which is cool because then you can just drop that into a Shopify theme or just, give it to, so Claude's actually decent at Liquid now as well. So it's pretty nice. You can either, when you're starting from a theme, if you're starting from scratch on the Shopify CLI, just do Shopify theme init and it spins up a skeleton theme and very, very bare bones, which means you get to build whatever you want, but it also then doesn't have a lot of these other design constraints and stuff like that. So you can give the LLM free reign of like, hey, like here's our design style guide, here's the actual pages and stuff like that, all in HTML and CSS has been written up for us. Let's go ahead and just like rock that out here kind of type thing. And it does a decent job. You obviously, like I would say doing it that way, like design spec or whatever first, like spend your time on that, give it to Claude Design. I'm sure there are other AI tools too. This is the one that I'm familiar with and it does a very good job. Spend your time on that. It'll spin that up for you and then like bring it back into Claude Code to like spin it up. I mean, it gets you 80% of the way there without any intervention at all. Like it's just, I'm not touching anything at that point. Once it gets that done, that's when you get to go in, you get to set up, you get to spend the time actually setting up the meta objects, meta fields and stuff you might need or whatever kind of type thing, like the manual config and obviously fixing stuff. Like AI is still not perfect. Anybody who says anything one-shotted is a liar, like, off of a prompt. I would say off of a prompt. Like if you're saying one-shotted anything other than something incredibly simple and basic, that doesn't happen. It still doesn't happen even as good as the models are. But if you spend a good half hour on like a really well-designed spec'd out like spec sheet and then hand it off, like it can one-shot stuff like that.
Yeah.
Obviously, again, still depending on how complex it is, but that's probably a little aggressive to say that people are liars if they're saying stuff's one shot. But
yeah, Taylor is putting some strong words.
I get mad when people still say that because it is such marketing gimmick hype. People have been saying that for like over a year now, and we're still at the point where it's just like, that's not how that works, man. Like I think that I'm mad about it because it frustrates people that are new to coding or even not new to coding, but maybe they've been coding for a while and they're not as familiar with the LLMs and how to use them. Because they get frustrated. It's just like, well, it's not working for me. Like how everyone else is saying it's working for you. It's like, it's not a skill issue. Like those people are just hyping stuff up that doesn't actually happen. So anyways, frustrating for that. Anyways.
I'm sorry, Taylor. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So I don't know. That was my whole take on that. I feel like I was talking for a while.
Yeah, I kind of lost track.
I know. And I only brought it up because I actually had to do this, where I was like, it was a thought exercise, but then I actually had to do it and it worked out how I wanted it to work out. So I was pretty excited about that.
There you go. Everything's coming up, Taylor.
It's all coming up. So I don't know if you have any thoughts about how you would do that differently. So where I did this differently, right? At this point, so I'm speaking at .dev on metaobjects.
No. You have spoken at .dev on metaobjects by the time this comes out.
I have spoken by the time this has come out. I have spoken. And so but that was for this presentation. Obviously, I still have not had a client that has walked up to me and said, free reign, do whatever you want. And if anybody's listening who's a potential client, I would not do this with a client project anyways. I have a couple of designers that I've worked with that are like very, very good at what they do. And so I would not insult them by saying, if it was a paid client project, like that had the budget, we would be bringing in an actual designer for this. But for this particular instance, right, where it doesn't really matter. I just need to spin up a store so that way I have demos for the talk, right, that I've given at this point by the time y'all are listening to this.
It was a great talk, by the way. Wonderful.
It was a great talk. Thank you. No, so that was what I did. I was like, okay, like I was hemming and hawing or whatever. What's the phrase? Going back and forth because you want to like create some kind of form of engaging presentation to some degree. You don't want to just spin up a plain dev store. Everybody can do that, right? Like just open up a dev store and it's like, just do this, right? Or whatever for a talk. So I'm like, I'm going to spend a little bit of time on this. Me and Claude, we're going to spend some time on this. And I did. Like we did the whole thing from beginning to end, spun up this fictitious coffee shop brand. And so obviously it turned out really well. I thought it did great. Like all of that is just, it's all AI. Like design spec sheet, Claude Design did all the things. I don't really care. I don't understand color palettes. I don't understand typography. Like that's a
Those things
designer's
aren't even
job
real.
that I'm like, looks good. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
They're not real. Yeah, Shopify theme init and let Claude it download a whole package. It did everything.
You went to lunch. You changed the oil in your car. Yeah, and came back. It was done.
And then lunch did an oil change. It did everything. So, but it did say that was the frustrating part. I got to that point because obviously we're talking about meta objects. And so all of the stuff is just like, okay, that's great. Now this entire data model that we have around all these custom things or whatever, you're going to have to go manually do this because we can't create this. And I'm like, come on, man. I was trying to do this in between stuff, So
Claude can literally drive the browser. Like you could do this, Claude, if you would just get over yourself.
So maybe, yeah. So skill issue on my end of like making sure it was set up properly for all of that stuff. However, interestingly enough, I think this is another instance where I feel like you still have to be involved because even as I was creating stuff based on the spec, I was like, hey, like why are we using single line text for color fields? That doesn't make sense. We have a color
idiot
meta field, like, yeah, like why are we doing this? And then it's like, oh wait, why are we not using a list for this? Because we actually can have multiple references to this. And it's like, oh yeah, sorry. So it doesn't do it perfect. And if I would have just like let it do it, obviously we would have had to like, destroy and recreate some other meta fields or whatever with different names, kind of type thing. So, or just, we would have left them and then we would have had a bunch of like dead drop meta fields kind of type thing. So yeah, I think it worked really well. I think if somebody had to do that, if it's becoming easier and easier if you have an afternoon and an LLM subscription to just be able to spin up a whole fake brand. I mean, images and everything. I told Claude Design to like give me a bunch of stuff. I have found ChatGPT is really good at creating images. So I gave like a prompt for all of the photography to ChatGPT and it made all the images. Like,
oh, geez.
It's pretty good. I'm a non-designer. I think it's pretty good.
That's cool. Although the thing that bothers me most about this story, and it was a lovely story, is that you decided to put some extra effort into making this really stand out, go above and beyond, and you went with coffee?
I went with coffee. I love coffee.
Why not something cool like, I don't know, like a Real Genius fan club prop replica site? Or
you can't go super niche with stuff like a talk.
A table
man.
rental
gotta
place.
Go super relevant, easily relatable, Like
No,
I don't
you're
have
right.
to understand what coffee is to people. Like, but Toby hasn't even seen Real Genius. So what if he's out there and he's like, I don't get any of these references, man.
You didn't go back to your roots and do coffee mugs. We actually went to coffee.
Yeah, I could have done the coffee mug. Oh my gosh.
No, that's a great idea. And I agree. Being relatable is important, especially in the context of a demo. You got to build that bridge to your audience.
Yeah. Yeah. It's more about like trying to make people not think as much as possible and be able to focus just on like, what's the practical element for this?
So since you're a speaker, or no, since you were a speaker, depending on where temporal reality we're living in, I've been reading a lot of Dune novels too. So the whole idea, like prescience and like what reality am I currently in? It's a big thing with me right now. Okay, so there's been talk in the past about like, do you bring your laptop to these things? And there's this idea of like, oh, we're going to go to these talks, we're going to hack, it's going to be great. If I don't bring a computer, I'm going to miss out. And every time these happens, like it was too crowded, the talk was too fast, the speaker didn't even give us a chance to. So what's the reality going to be at the talk that you just gave and are giving?
Oh, yeah. And this is going to come out after, so you're going to be SOL, I guess, either way. But this is for your knowledge going in. Yeah, mine is more like a presentation with examples, and then there's going to be Q&A at the end. So, or there was Q&A at the end, I guess. And so hopefully I didn't like totally biff any of the answers. This will be like really interesting, like watch after the fact and be like, oh, I was so hopeful that this was going to go so well. And it, fell on my face. No, so I'm not setting it up so that way there's like code along with me kind of type things or whatever.
Okay.
But the hope would be obviously simple, practical applications that you can use that are going to be relatable to wherever you're working in if it's touching the storefront and beyond, is kind of the thought.
And are you going to really bring it home and land the plane and serve a flight of coffee at the end of your talk? Because that
would be so cool. I didn't even think of that. That would be amazing.
Yeah, that's why you got me here, Taylor.
Everybody enjoy your field note roasters coffee. This reserve roast selection here. That's
tastes like data.
Tastes like data. That's great. That would be so cool. And coffee. I'm gonna ask the presenters if I can wheel in one of the coffee carts.
I was gonna say it's got to be all around the conference center, so just find some.
They've always been there. They're like, coffee and cookies and treats and things. So are you gonna bring like a more resealable like bag that you can?
I'm gonna bring a whole
to, like,
suitcase.
That's just the spare suitcase for all of the treats.
Yeah, I'm paying $35 to bring an extra suitcase. No,
is that going to be a problem through customs? They're going to be like, "What is all of this,
sir?"
Gonna be like, "Sir, you have to step into the other line." Like, like, "Oh no, yeah. Oh no."
Well, I'll be at the airport 6 hours early anyway, so it's fine.
Yeah.
No, that's a good point. I do need to bring an extra bag for that because I like treats. That's my love language. Free food of any kind, and I'm not going to be able to eat most of it because I'm going to try to stick to my keto ways as much as possible.
Oh, okay.
I will probably deviate some. I've laxed a little bit. Like I ate, a couple of potato chips yesterday, that sort of stuff.
Oh, Carl.
I know. But there's so much sugar there that I just if I start down that path, I don't think it will end well. So we'll see.
Yeah, it's bad. I've just been straight up. Oh man, it's just been busy. Maybe we need a whole episode on self-care, and even when things get busy, trying to figure out how to take care of yourself. It's important, but it's easy. I don't know. It's always the thing that falls off, right? Like eating and staying active and stuff like that, or whatever. Anytime something goes wrong, that's always the first thing to go on my schedule. It's just like, all right, well, I guess I'm eating that second helping of ice cream today then, because they're just like that's not good, man. It's not good.
No. And even with keto, like there's so many products I have found on the market now for keto, but are not necessarily good for you. But I eat a pint of ice cream a night at this point. But it's keto.
Heck yeah.
Speaking
Did you
of
get
which,
the creamy?
No, I didn't. I keep hemming and hawing.
Opted not to.
I was going to get it for my birthday for myself, but then it's so expensive. I don't know which one you have.
Oh, I bought it on sale at Sam's Club when it went on sale. They were doing some kind of a special deal.
Apparently, like high summer is not the time to buy an ice cream maker on sale.
No, everybody's eating ice cream. That's right. You buy it in the winter, okay? Like no one's thinking about eating ice cream. I'm thinking about eating ice cream in the winter, but like no one else was apparently. They were trying to move those things.
I was looking at the Amazon price history for it, and it's like this is the highest it's been, and it's like okay.
Well, yeah. Why do they run now? I don't think I paid more than like $120 for it or something, maybe.
Like the basic one's like $200, and then like the deluxe one that has the bigger size, which I was gonna get because I'm a family of 3 or 5, it was like $250. It's like I can't spend $250 on a blender. Essentially, is all it is.
Mm-mm.
I could get my power tool out and do that myself.
That's I don't know if that's the same. Good luck though. Let me know.
Sure.
Maybe I'll make. Well, it would melt by the time. I was say maybe I'll bring some for .dev, but it would definitely melt.
Yeah,
if I can figure out how to freeze it, bring a bunch of it up. You can test it out.
Dry ice.
I can bring it with me. We're driving up, so I'll bring the whole creamy with me.
I know you're driving up. I know you got your own party place. I know you and your friends are hanging out. That's okay. I got things to do.
Listen, I was trying to get you on the party bus. We were leaving too early for you. So.
Yeah, I didn't want to be there a month.
It's gonna be a crazy action-packed week. I'm sure. Probably by this time this episode comes out, I'm gonna be exhausted.
Brendan, who presumably is listening, I like you, Brendan, but a whole week with you, that's too much.
We're not young men anymore. We can't keep up with them. Brendan has. I love his just endless source of energy. Like everywhere we go, you go with Brendan. He's like the life of the party. It's so fun.
As long as you're not rooming with him. Yeah, so that'll be good. Ninja Creamy. So maybe, wow, how do we end up here? Maybe when it goes on sale proactively. I'm at the age, like, for my birthday, it's like, what do I get? Like, nothing. I'll just go out to eat somewhere, drink a Diet Coke, and I'll be happy.
Yeah, that's all. Either my wife prepares some special meal or go out to eat. Those are usually the two. And I usually prefer what she makes anyway. She makes this shrimp scampi, and it's apparently like annoying to make. And so I usually only ask for it for special occasions. So she's just like, it just takes a long time, or whatever. So that and lasagna. I love lasagna. Oh my gosh. I only get it like twice a year,
Whatever,
It's so
Garfield.
good. I hate Mondays and I love lasagna.
Garfield, it still slaps. I never appreciated it as much at the time, but my kids still find it funny.
Did you see the movie that came out? There was a newer movie that came out, and my son watched it. Did any of your kids? My daughter was not like this. My son, though, when a new movie comes out that he likes, he will watch it nonstop for like 2 or 3 weeks. Like that's all he wants to watch. He'll watch it over and over and over and over and over and over again. It's so funny.
Parent our children and don't let them just watch movies constantly, but whatever helps you.
It's so funny. He's just like, this is all he wants to watch. You're like, really? Okay. Like you watched this like yesterday already, dude. And he's just like, no, let's watch it again today. And I'm like, nah, that's okay.
My kids are special, not in like I did something to make them special, but they're special. So what they want to watch. We have screen time twice a week, like family movie kind of for an hour or whatever.
Yeah.
They want to watch Hogan's Heroes.
What?
From the 1960s. Yeah, so that's what we watched.
Really?
2 Hogan's Heroes episodes.
You're gonna have to find that. Where are you streaming this from?
Where is it on? Oh, Amazon Prime, annoyingly, because commercials, yeah.
I mean, you could pay the extra to get rid of the commercials. I don't know what
Why?
that costs,
I was already paying, and then they added it.
I know.
Like,
I
no,
know. That's the most. I wish they would have like grandfathered people into it or whatever, but
God, it makes me so mad.
I don't even know what it costs. I've never even looked at it to be like, how much does it cost actually to get rid of the commercials? Like,
Well, I think our little segue here has probably cost us the 2 listeners we had, but do you want to proceed onward with our outline?
Yeah. I mean, we talked about all the fun stuff with, the design, rapid prototyping. I didn't say design briefs, so you could say your joke, so I'm sorry. Did you want to go ahead and say it?
No, not now. You ruined it. I did have a good quip.
It almost went over my head earlier because I was confused.
Yeah, you don't put them on your head; you put them on your waist.
But I'm sure everyone can guess if I said design briefs where Carl went with that. So the only other thing that I had was I was bemoaning how the Shopify theme store like broke shopinfo.app.
Well, for those that don't know, what is shopinfo.app?
It's a theme directory that's off the theme store that also has a lot of other data. Like we pull in like performance data from Theme Vitals, and then it's also like tracking a bunch of different themes that are checked. So like there is a extension in Raycast and Chrome extension for the actual web app. You can go see what theme a Shopify store is using. And so we track that. And so based on like how many times the tool's been used, then we can see like, okay, like here's all the shops using this theme or whatever kind of type thing.
That sounds really cool. What's it written in?
It's written in Rails.
Oh!
You know it. Because I had to consult you when I was migrating over from Heroku to Render. And I was like, hey, like this is what Claude said to do. Does this look good to you?
If you'd asked Harshdeep, it'd be JS. But no, you get to me.
That's right. I came to you. So
anyway.
But so yeah, they, Shopify. So the good thing is there's a lot of back and forth on, theme devs feeling like they've been ignored, and kind of like rightfully so. Like Shopify kind of like rolls out a bunch of updates. Like theme devs get 0 heads up about any of these changes or anything like that. And then they find out, when all of us do, that their themes have to be updated. And so this has even cost people, like last year, there were devs that I knew, like theme store devs that were like, I can't come to editions.dev this year because they just rolled out all these changes and we have to have them prepared in the timeline for our themes. Like I won't be able to take this trip. And so that was pretty sad and frustrating to see that. There's been a lot of back and forth on, how all that's being handled or whatever. So anyways, kind of concerning if there's like not a whole lot happening with the theme store since that's happening. But basically, so I get updates on, when themes are updated, like new themes come in, new presets, version changes, all this other stuff. And it was like really quiet for like multiple days in a row, which is not uncommon over like the weekend. Like there's not a whole lot of updates that get done when it gets checked. But basically, it went about a week before, and I've been so busy with other things that I was like, that's kind of weird that we have 0 updates for like a week. Like that's odd. And so I finally looked into it, and they had changed like the sitemap, which is something that we use as like a trigger for like, oh, there are new themes. And then they also changed some of the URLs and stuff or whatever. So had to do a bunch of changes and get those caught up or whatever kind of type thing. But I don't know. At the same time, while it's annoying that, the theme store, like Shopify broke like shopinfo.app for me here or whatever, I think it's a good sign. It means that they're working on it, that something changed. So I was annoyed, but I was also really happy to see that somebody is over there working on stuff at least, because they're at least changing stuff.
Somebody or something. Bum, bum,
Oh,
bum.
that's the theme store's being completely run by River, Shopify's
Yes.
AI, probably, So River, if you are listening to this, and I know that you are, please let me know if you guys are going to break stuff again. No, it was a good lesson for me, because now I have some safeguards set up where, hey, if something changes like with the shape of this, like you need to email me so I can come take a look. So I didn't have any tooling or anything set up on my end to make sure that didn't happen. It just, the light bulb finally went off of seeing like there's multiple days in a row where this is like not showing anything. So
I'm sure you could have fixed that with metaprogramming in Ruby. It's a very versatile language.
Well, I'm sure I could have if I would have consulted my Ruby consultant
That's right.
as well. So, Carl, I'll have to get an hour on your calendar here
Yeah, good luck,
to
pal.
review my code base here. See what safeguards we've set up, Claude and I have now, to make sure that doesn't happen.
That's cool though. I don't think you talk about shop info or shop app info and whatever you call it enough.
Shopinfo.app, yeah.
Thank you, shop
So,
info app. It's a really cool project.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I'm at the point I'm pretty frustrated with it, in the sense that it just never took off the way that I really hoped for it to. So it's something I spent a lot of time on, and it was initially just like a fun thing to learn Rails, like to play around with Rails and kind of cut my teeth on that. And so it, like I said, it's just never took off the way that I really hoped that it would, to be like a useful tool, not just for like merchants, but for devs too. And so I was going to go another way with it as well. And we'll see. I might still do it. I just don't know. There's basically 2 different ways to go about maybe trying to be helpful for actual theme devs, where the tool is discovering other URLs, where maybe if there's an unlicensed theme, it would help them discover like when people are pirating their themes. And so they could like send a DMCA, because theme devs do lose money to that stuff quite a bit. And then the other part was I was wanting to build like a theme compatibility tool for apps. So like a separate tool would then kind of like point back to like, oh, this app is automatically compatible with this theme. And like theme devs could or app devs, I'm sorry, could opt into that. And that would help them also surface when people are looking for tools. They'd say, this is my theme. And then they'd see a list of apps that are immediately compatible with it if it's something that touches the storefront. So that was kind of the thoughts on that. But then obviously like Brightwork and .dev and all this other stuff has been like super busy. So I haven't been able to touch any of that in months at this point, it feels like. So
we planned like a legit conference in like 2 weeks.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. I don't know what you were thinking.
I know. I just, well, it was really funny because I did the talk, like I submitted a talk and I was like, yeah, like it's good. It's a crazy week, but it's fine. Like I'm still going to have time to prep and do all this other stuff. And then everything with Mantle happened and Tectonic was canceled, and like events have been on like the future goal for SDA and all this other stuff for a long time. It's like, well, this is perfect. Like we can step in and we can do this. And then I was like, oh no, now all the things are happening all at once on an already busy week. And what have I done? So it's just what it is, man. It's gonna be a lot of fun. It's gonna be very busy.
See, you're the kind of guy. So the other day I was cutting the grass at like 7 a.m, which is fine. Doesn't wake the neighbors because we have an old-fashioned like hand push mower that doesn't have an engine.
Really?
It's just the real, yeah.
After this is over, we need to have a conversation about that.
Okay. And I noticed there's skunk. It's like 7:30 a.m. at this point. Like, you shouldn't be here, pal. And I don't want my kids running to you. Long story short, the skunk was injured. At one point, it
Oh,
started crawling away with just like its front legs dragging his body
poor little
behind it,
guy.
right? And so there are two
Yeah.
types of people in this world, Taylor. There's you, where you see that skunk and you decide to spend the rest of your day trying to help it and save it or make something of the skunk, right? And there's me, which is, man, I really hope it gets to the neighbor's yard before it dies because I don't want to deal with it.
I was wondering where you were going.
Which it did, I think,
That
because I don't see
is,
it anywhere. So
it
we're good.
did, it did. He made it. Might have got some help from the shovel that I pushed him along with, or whatever. But
It was
that's
sad. It was really sad. Skunks are.
oh,
There's a whole like skunk festival in Ohio. Do you know that up in Avon Lake? Yeah,
what?
people have them as
No.
pets. They get them like deneutered or not deneutered, deodorized, however you do that.
Yeah,
And they're great pets. So it was very sad. But
really.
what can you do?
Yeah, they seem like they could be good little pet. I don't know because they're primarily like nocturnal creatures, aren't they?
Apparently this one wasn't, but yeah,
This one?
I think.
No, as well. So we have that problem every now and again out here as well. There's a neighborhood skunk that kind of like hangs out, but there's also a lot of cats in our neighborhood.
Just
Really
one
weird.
skunk.
One skunk, a lot of cats. But we have deer that come through our backyard all the time in our neighborhood, and I just think it's the coolest thing ever. I don't know why. Like, I live in Ohio, in rural Ohio. We have deer everywhere up here, and so, but I still get so jazzed. I literally went to take out the trash the other day, saw a deer walking through our backyard, and I stopped and recorded on my phone for like 6 minutes. And I finally came back inside after, it left or whatever. And my wife was like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "I saw a deer in the backyard and just had to stop and record it, or whatever." It's just like I feel like a little kid every time I see one up close like that in my backyard. I don't know why. It's just I'm always like that.
You know how to fix that? There's a way. Try either planting a garden or some hostas, and then you will no longer like the deer.
We have lots of hostas.
The deer haven't eaten them all?
So they nibble at some of them, but they have not eaten all of them, no.
All right, so you got anything for us for the changelog this week?
That's the change log. So I do have quite a few of these in here, and so there was a lot for some reason, and so I don't know what the best way to cover all these other than just saying a bunch of them and then telling people again, you're gonna have to check the change log. I'll go over a couple of important ones. Maybe we'll drop a
Pick the
bunch
top.
in, but like end of the day, we're just gonna pick the highlights of like what that was as far as like ones that I found interesting or very impactful. So all of you app devs, y'all just need to know POS, customer account API, some other APIs and checkout UI extensions as well. That's important.
Oh,
Those are things that you're going to need to know about, and you need to check it because there's some action required stuff in there. So you need to be checking. Anyways, there was a really big one here for the changelog. I don't know if you saw this, but it just came out. There's an identity verification requirement for Shopify Partners that's starting. So this is kind of a big deal in the sense that it's going to be pretty impactful for all of us. You're going to have to do all this sorts of things outside of just like your regular two-factor auth to log into your partner account and all this other stuff or whatever. When you're requesting access, like you're actually going to have to like do some identity verification. So you might need to provide like an actual photo ID or business details and stuff like that to get verified. And so I am looking into this where, I'd want to go ahead and get verified ahead of time. I haven't seen anything yet in the dash for this or whatever, but basically if you're going to be requesting collab access to stores, so a lot of us who do services, obviously that's the primary way that I access stores is collab access, but then also for your app, if you're trying to make updates and those sorts of things, just be prepared. There's going to be some extra steps, especially if you have, if you've got customer support that does this for you as well. You need to know this ahead of time. If they're doing collab requests for you, there's going to potentially be some extra steps. So look into that to see if you need to do that. By the time this comes out, this will probably have been out for a little bit, and I'm sure we'll have more answers about what that looks like. But if you first time hearing this, go ahead and audit what that looks like for you. There's definitely a bunch of extra steps here when it comes to accessing stores via collaborator access. So very big change. So some other updates here. App pricing. So for those of you, like I know the whole thing with the Shopify app pricing and all this stuff or whatever kind of type thing, Mansell going away, new billing stuff or whatever that people are having to migrate to, which is unrelated kind of type thing, but just one of those things where people used it for this. And now there's a new evolution here of like how pricing is handled completely. Have you guys moved over completely to the Shopify app pricing stuff?
We've always been on that, so.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Well, Carl, as usual, is on the absolute precipice of all the amazing things
It's
done
true.
here. But they've done some updates here. There were some like pretty stringent limitations before, but you can now have 8 public plans, previously only 4, and 15 private plans, previously 10 per app. And so there's a couple of other things in there. There's also some other app events that are now supported through the API as well. So be sure to check that out. Another update here. There was a pretty significant update as well for the reviews. So App Store reviews, very contentious topic for a very long time. Lots of clearly fraudulent practices and stuff like that happening on the App Store all the time. And this has been something that Shopify, obviously, it's not an easy problem to fix, right? Like app reviews and stuff in general are hard, and so they've made some updates to that. They're basically targeting incentivizing reviews. So those reviews, they're like, hey, go review us, 5 stars or whatever kind of type thing, and we'll get rid of this logo or whatever it is kind of type thing. So they're going to be targeting those folks. And they'll be like removing the reviews, potentially delisting their apps or terminating their partner accounts. So for those of y'all that are doing the no strategies there, knock it off. Shopify's going to find you. So it's in the change
I
log.
believe it when I see it.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, same. They've done a couple of updates here that they've been trying to make improvements, right? Like as far as like, hey, we know this is a problem. We're trying to fix it, but we're talking about, tens of thousands at this point of Shopify apps and hundreds of thousands. What's the actual number of merchants that are actually using these apps? And so it's not a simple one-to-one problem to solve, right? Like, and so, I wouldn't want to be the people trying to solve this kind of type thing. But I do know it is a hard problem. They're working on it. And so I think this is part of that. Additionally, fake and untrusted reviews. So they've got some other logic going in there as well to try to help make sure that the right reviews get pulled, those sorts of things. So they're going to try to like make some improvements there. Like you said, we'll see what that looks like. The last time they did a huge culling of all of the reviews that they were like, these aren't good reviews or whatever. And that seemed to be kind of like good and bad reviews. And so people had very mixed feelings about it. Some people had a bunch like of bad reviews removed. Some people had a bunch of good reviews removed that were legitimate reviews that they could prove. These are legit, so whatever they're using to target these is not great. And so imperfect system, hard problem, a lot of data obviously to sift through kind of type thing. So hopefully these changes are beneficial, or at least I'm hopeful that they are. I'm sure other people are as well who are handling all of this stuff from the app side of things. Reviews are hard. So I feel for both sides there. It's a tough thing. There's also, just to highlight real quick, there's a couple of big Shop Mini updates for June. So you'll be sure that you want to check that out. Those were a very hot topic for a while, and they've kind of fallen off of our radar. But Shop Minis are still a thing,
Are they?
and so indeed they are. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like I need to follow up. We need to follow up with Farid. He was the last night we had on here talking about Shop Minis and some of the people that built some of those. I do know some other people too. So Anthony and Gabby over at, they have the Biscuit Bundles app and stuff too. So I think that they built one too. I think there were some other ones that were built as well. So I'd love to follow up with those folks and say like, hey, like, have you seen anything positive come from all of this? So I don't know. We'll see. But there's a couple of updates in there, just so you know. Product variant intents. So there's some specific things in there for like selecting variants and different things like that. So be sure to check that out. That's probably going to be helpful for you. So a bunch of other stuff on the changelog, but we don't have time for that. So
we don't. We really don't.
We'll let that go, Carl. So because you're nodding, you're fading fast here. I want to keep you awake.
It's almost lunchtime, so yeah, no, that's really helpful. Thanks for covering all those things.
Yeah.
I mean, that is like one of the number one things we got back on our survey from earlier in the summer was people have trouble keeping up with all the changes. So if you make it this far, this is the price that you must pay, and then we will reward you with...
This is the price you pay.
Anyway, well, it is now time for the third half of our show. My and our guest today's favorite, picks of the week. Yay! So my pick of the week is a little strange. It's not something that you can get yourself. In fact, I'm the only one, well, not technically, but I should be the only one that could do this, which is my pick of the week is my parents' basement.
Wow.
Because
Okay. This is everybody's alert now, and you've
Yeah.
what?
my parents' basement is like a time capsule. They never threw anything away. It's like my whole childhood is still down there. And so whenever we go to visit, I was just there for the 4th. I always go through it to try to help sort through some stuff. Well, I found some legit things in here. I found this letter opener that I think belonged to my great-grandma. So I brought that
Oh,
home.
wow.
I should actually use it today. I found some old CDs from when I was cool and young. MXPX, you got to remember that.
Wow.
Or the W's, that's back when that was cool.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I even found some of my favorite cassette tapes from when I was a kid. So I gotta see if I get a cassette tape. Hooked on Classics. This stuff rocks. If you can get
Now,
it.
do you have anything that plays cassette tape still?
I do sort of.
Because
They're starting
I
to
do.
break. Oh,
I do.
a lot of good stuff in here. Some more CDs. Oh, Dark Forces. Remember this game?
Wow.
I don't know how I'm gonna get it to work, but I have it, so I won't be pirating it.
Gotta try.
Yeah. And some pictures and stuff, and some staples. Oh, and then this was the kicker. And this shoulder right here was my original hospital birth certificate, just sitting around.
Just sitting around.
I should
Shouldn't
bring
that be somewhere?
home.
Like that's
Yeah, I'll put that in a safe. So
there you go.
Parents' basement, highly recommend if you have the means.
If your parents have one, go spelunking and find your entire past just buried there underneath boxes.
And there's toys down there too, like old Legos and things that the kids like to get into. But
well, that's awesome. I bet there's like a whole vintage thing for like old Legos like that.
Well, that's partly why we don't throw anything out, because I have a bunch of like Star Wars and Star Trek toys that I bought. Not Star Wars, more Star Trek. Like in the early 90s, mid 90s, they kind of rebooted and they made action figures and stuff. And so I bought a bunch. I just kept them all. I'm like, there were something, maybe. Don't want to just, but I don't have the time to go through them. Anyway, that was my pick. What's yours, Taylor?
Well, that's with your shiv over here, kind of intimidating here, Carl.
Yeah.
So my pick, I was also in Michigan last week. We did not see each other. We live in Ohio, and we were both in Michigan last week, and we still didn't run into each other. I think we were several hours away still, based on where we were at. I was closer to the upper thumb area kind of type thing. So, but my pick of the week. What are you making the face for? People from Michigan do this. So like, where are you at in Michigan? They do this.
Works great.
You know?
Yeah, I know how they do it. I live there.
That's for the people watching here. You hold up your hand and then they point to their hand or whatever. If people are from Michigan.
Taylor was over here. I was over here.
Oh, sorry, I did the wrong. Is it this way? It's this way instead. Like
I don't know. Everything's reversed.
I do it with the palm. That's the. I don't know.
Well,
is it palm out or I don't know. Now,
if you know,
I was like, oh no, wait, like it's just starting to get bad. This is, oh shoot. Anyways, I was also in Michigan. So when I always feel like I have to do a story on like why I'm picking this. So like, I'm sorry. When I was a kid, I lived in North Carolina with my family, obviously. And my parents were originally from Michigan. So we would go visit my grandparents in Michigan every year. And every year we would stop at this store in Frankenmuth, Michigan. Biggest Christmas store. I'm going to go ahead and say in the world. It's probably just in the United States. I don't know. And so, but there's a big giant Christmas store in Frankenmuth, Michigan called Bronner's. And so now we travel every year to this little town. So my pick is this little town of Frankenmuth. It's this cute little town. We do this now with my kids as an annual trip. We call it like our Christmas in July trip. And so now it's something that my kids also get to enjoy doing. They get to pick out a Christmas ornament when we're there. We make it a whole thing. But it's nice now because we live 4 hours away. So it's a relatively easy drive. Not even 4 hours. I think it's 3.5 hours from us where we're at. So it's a simple drive. Spend the night there and then just come back the next day. It's just an easy day trip kind of type thing. And I get to also relive part of my childhood because I went there when I was a kid when we would go visit my grandparents. So it's a nice thing that we get to continue to do. So Frankenmuth, Michigan, nice little town.
Never been. Always wanted to. I think it's a good pick, Taylor.
You've never been? Oh my!
They have a water park,
Carl.
I think, there, an indoor water park somewhere.
So they now have two. So if you've been to Frankenmuth or you do a little research, it's got this little like Bavarian village kind of type theme. Is that Bavarian village? Yeah. And so there is a small indoor water park at one of the hotels. Zender's is the hotel chain. There's another one now. It feels like there's Zender's is this one brand or chain or whatever. And then they have a competing brand and chain now also that as another hotel that they just built their own water park. But if you go there, you need to go to Zender's Bakery as well. It's fantastic. All the stuff in Little Town. You can walk around at the little shops. It was great. So anyways, Breckenridge, Michigan. Bam.
Awesome. Well, with that, I think we should wrap it up. You've done it again, Taylor. And whoever else is with us still, you have wasted another perfectly good hour you could have spent prompting AI, listening to the WikiWiki podcast. Thanks for joining us today. By the time you see this, we will be back from .dev and happy to hang out. So come on over. Come check out the basement. Come have a Ninja Creamy with Taylor and dream about Christmas, which is coming faster than you want to think. We'll see you on the next one. Take care.